Ashley Wadsworth, 19, travelled on November 12, 2021 from Canada to England to meet a friend she had met online. She was excited to finally meet in person after many years. But no one expected Ashley's trip, instead of turning into romance, to end in a tragic catastrophe. Ashley Wadsworth was born on July 25, 2002, in a Canadian provincial town. Her parents were Kenneth Wadsworth and Christy Gendron. The large, close-knit Wadsworth family numbered more than 50 members, including relatives of varying degrees, all living in the same community. Ashley had an older sister, Hayley. The little girl loved an active lifestyle, swimming, horseback riding, and skiing. She also played tennis and loved to play the clarinet. Ashley was characterized by a cheerful, sociable, and energetic character. These qualities made her popular among her peers, and she had many friends. Ashley was also active on social media and shared various posts with her followers, funny pictures, jokes, or just her thoughts. In 2015, when Ashley was 12 years old, she met Jack Sapple on social media, who was born on January 9, 1999. Unlike Ashley, Jack didn't have many people close to him. His mother, Tracy Dalton, was married to a man named Ricky. Jack's father passed away in 2019, and the relationship between the two was strained. Jack also reportedly did not communicate with his brother Jordan, but maintained contact with his sister Nadia. When Ashley and Jack met, Jack was 15 years old. Jack always preferred to interact exclusively through the internet and video games. However, over time, he began to expand his circle of online contacts. It was Ashley's friend, who was chatting with Jack, who brought the two teens together through social networking. As is common among many teens, it was natural for Ashley to chat with strangers on various platforms and establish virtual friendships. That's how she met Jack. Jack and Ashley quickly became virtual friends. They were attracted to each other in a simple way, whether they shared common interests or not. They began actively interacting online. At that time, Ashley did not yet have a smartphone and used the family computer to access social networks. Therefore, the friendship with English was never a secret to her family. As their online friendship developed, Ashley noticed some of Jack's personality traits. Interestingly, many acquaintances described Jack in different ways. Some said he was often in trouble in school, although they remembered him as a fun, charming, impulsive kid. They also spoke of his dark side, which came out when he was angry and expressed aggression toward himself and others. Because Ashley and Jack were teenagers, they changed as they grew up. Both Ashley and Jack grew and changed. In addition, Ashley's mother reported that Jack had had several relationships with different girls during their long-distance relationship, and that Ashley also experienced typical adolescent experiences. Despite the times when they did not speak, the bond between the two teenagers never completely disappeared, and they stayed in touch over the years. As Ashley and Jack got older, their relationship evolved. They began to not only correspond on social media, but also video call each other, which made their relationship even more intimate and romantic. Soon, Jack became a familiar face to Ashley's family. When they saw the couple, they would greet him as if he were in their living room. In addition, he regularly sent her gifts in the form of teddy bears and handbags. Ashley's family and friends reported that she compared every man she met to Jack. Because of the 8-hour time difference between Wernersville and Max, where Jack lived, the young men would wake up early and go to bed late so they could talk to each other. In 2018, when Ashley was 15 years old and began to show interest in meeting Jack in person, her family would not allow her. Traveling alone to another continent, like any couple, they argued from time to time. When Ashley blocked Jack on her social media accounts because of these disputes, he would create new accounts or send her messages through his sister or acquaintances. This annoyed and angered the girl's family, but she insisted that he was an approachable and sensitive person. In October 2018, Jack got Ashley's name tattooed on his arm. At the time, she was 16 and he was 19. The girl's parents considered this gesture of excessive love and warned her to be careful and not even think about doing the same. Shortly thereafter, Jack hurt himself with a knife during a fight over his tattoo of Ashley's name. After that, he became jealous and violent. He would get angry when he thought Ashley was seeing other men, even though he was still dating other girls. But he insisted that Ashley was his love and that he only wanted her. One day, Jack's girlfriend called Ashley from home and told her that Jack would not leave her to IR. Ashley's friend, who was with her during the call, said that Ashley seemed unperturbed, as if she was used to Jack's extreme behavior. Ashley simply asked him to stop acting crazy. She told her friends what had happened, but not her parents. After the frequent fights and the latest tattoo incident, Ashley's parents pressured her to end the relationship with Jack completely. However, she refused and downplayed the seriousness of her actions. In the years that followed, this cycle of fights and reconciliations continued, although concerned friends asked her to stop talking to him. Despite all the difficulties and problems in their relationship, Ashley always found the strength to forgive Jack. They had known each other since they were teenagers, but it seems that Ashley never fully understood the extent of his manipulations and psychological pressure. Since Ashley started working in places like fast food and department stores at a young age, she tried to save money for hobbies and entertainment. Her first big purchase was a tablet, so she could browse social media more comfortably and privately. He later spent his savings on travel on his own. In the last years of high school, Ashley became very interested in spirituality. She once read the Book of Mormon, and it was a real discovery for her. After that, she decided to join a religious group known as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. After graduating from school in 2020, Ashley considered entering law school at Thompson Rivers University School of Law. Her dream was to become a lawyer. However, due to the pandemic and all classes moving to online format, Ashley decided to take an academic break and continue her studies at a later date. After working the first half of 2021 and earning a certain amount of money, and also becoming a member of the Mormon Church through baptism, this determined and ambitious young woman suddenly decided to move to the UK. She wanted to meet Jack personally to celebrate his birthday. Ignoring the objections of her family and loved ones, 18-year-old Ashley, who could already manage her own money and was of legal age, firmly decided that she would go to see her beloved in England on November 12, 2021. Ashley left her hometown for the first time and arrived in the UK on a tourist visa that was valid for 6 months. The long-awaited meeting with 22-year-old Jack happened the next day. They immediately took a photo together, which Ashley shared on her social media. Jack, adorned with tattoos, looked much older than his young girlfriend. During his stay in the capital, Ashley lived in Jack's modest apartment, located in northwest London, in the Chelsea area. Break time =1.0 is. Living in one of the worst parts of the city, where Jack's apartment was, led them to look together for suitable apartments in more prestigious areas of Essex for possible future cohabitation. Jack turned out to be just as Ashley imagined him to be, kind and attentive, with whom she had been talking online for many years. However, in real life, he sometimes showed instability and anger, which contrasted sharply with his usual manner. Ashley, being in the country on a tourist visa, was unable to get a job and was limited in her actions. Jack was also unemployed, living on allowances and material support from his mother, Tracy. In social media photos, Ashley reflected her strong bond with Jack, full of romance and mutual affection. Ashley also kept in touch with her family through video calls, showing that all was well and there were no serious problems. At least at first glance, at first Jack was quite calm, But then he became pensive and withdrawn. He lost interest in exploring the new city and preferred to stay at home. He spent his time playing video games and, at times, using banned substances. Ashley, who normally enjoyed outdoor activities, was again constrained by her tourist visa. She began to adapt more and more to Jack's preferences, spending time in seclusion and becoming increasingly anxious about the fact that they were all cooped up in the cramped space of their small apartment. Before going to see Jack, one of her acquaintances from the Mormon church, being at home, decided to worry about her beforehand. He introduced a 19-year-old girl to several American missionaries who had arrived temporarily in Chelsea to preach just as she was planning her visit to the UK. Ashley, who wanted to make friends among those who shared her faith, especially being so far from home, quickly discovered that Jack, who was fickle, prevented her from attending Sunday services. Because of this, he began to communicate secretly with the friendly missionaries. She would then immediately delete all messages, knowing that Jack was checking his phone. Soon Ashley realized that Jack was trying to control her and even put emotional pressure on her. She confessed to the missionaries that, although she deserved a better relationship, the most important thing to her was Jack's happiness. And so Jack's unstable behavior only made her situation worse. His rudeness and cruelty were far worse than simply being isolated from new friendships. It had only been 6 weeks since she had been looking forward to her trip to finally reunite with her old boyfriend, when Jack confessed to his mother that he had hit Ashley. He suspected that she had blocked 2 unknown British numbers several years ago, thinking they were from other men. Although Ashley publicly portrayed herself as having a perfect time in England through her Instagram posts for several months, she secretly documented her traumas and only showed them to her concerned older sister, Hayley. Ashley threatened Hayley that she would cut off relations with the family if she told her mother everything. Ashley never confessed to her mother or her friends, but one day, Hayley accidentally revealed her secret. Clearly, her mother was stunned and very worried. She begged her daughter to come back. But Ashley insisted that Jack must complete a full course of treatment, and after recovery, everything would work out. In early January 2022, another crucial incident occurred. Jack smashed a beer glass over Ashley's head. In a terrible state, crying, the girl contacted her sister by video call, while her boyfriend forced her to clean up the shards. In the background, Ashley watched Jack marching, screaming and nodding. Hayley pleaded with her sister to come home, but to no avail. On the 9th of that same month, Jack nonchalantly celebrated his 23rd birthday, surrounded by his family and Ashley. Shortly thereafter, Jack's parents and stepfather arranged a family trip to a small seaside town, thinking a change of scenery would ease the tension. In the photos, everything looked so perfect that even Ashley's parents didn't suspect the gravity of the situation. They sighed in relief at the sight of their daughter's calm and joy. However, whatever peace there was at the time soon disappeared. During a fight in late January, Jack hit Ashley again. He threw a candle and the TV remote at her as she called Hayley, who once again pleaded with her sister to come home. Ashley initially agreed, but soon backed down. Believing that behind that cruel facade lurked the charming man she had known for years, Ashley prayed that treatment, time, and her love would cure him. Jack, after talking to his mother, understood what a difficult situation he had gotten Ashley into, accusing her of infidelity. He seemed to feel guilty, but that was not enough to prevent the ultimate tragedy. In early February 2022, Jack, again enraged, accused Ashley of running away and of seeing another man behind his back. He even demanded that she prove her loyalty by showing him her phone and social media accounts. Shortly before 8 a.m., Jack's neighbour Helen heard Ashley's screams through the wall they shared. A few minutes later, the woman approached the door. Opening the door, Helen saw a tearful Ashley with bleeding palms, who claimed that Jack had caught her looking at naked pictures and went into a rage, verbally abusing her. He then punched her and smashed her phone against the wall. Despite fears that Jack was trying to kill her, Ashley pleaded with Helen not to call the police. Helen agreed, but pleaded with Ashley not to go back to her violent man and to go to the doctor. Ashley refused, and Helen decided to talk to Jack. He apologized for what had happened, keeping his cool. Around 9 o'clock in the morning, neighbor Lucy handed Jack a package that had been delivered to him by mistake, pointing to the wrong address. Jack was very upset about this, but Lucy ignored him, knowing his hostile and inappropriate nature. Around the same time, Ashley called her relatives using Jack's cell phone. By this time, her mother was already aware of Jack's behavior. Since Hayley couldn't take the secrecy any longer, her parents quickly purchased a return ticket for February 3rd. When Ashley informed Jack of her impending departure in 2 days, he agreed to accompany her to the airport. Ashley's mother advised her to go to the airport immediately if he attacked her again, and warned Jack that she would call the police if he harmed her daughter further. The conversation between Ashley and her family lasted approximately 3 hours. When they finally disconnected, it was 11 a.m. in Florida and around 3 a.m. in Jack's neck of the woods. A few minutes later, Jack texted his mother a message confessing to committing another brutal attack on Ashley, knocking her to the ground and probably breaking her arm. From 11:22 to 12:38, Ashley sent several messages to family and friends using Jack's cell phone. Since it was dark at the time, no one responded. She also wrote to friends at the church in Florida, pleading for help and notifying about the emergency situation. The shocking video with the girl lying next to him did not get wide circulation. Meanwhile, in England, Ashley's relatives in Verona were awakened by a stream of alarming emails sent by Ashley herself. Concerned, they quickly called Jamie Ashworth, one of her fellow Mormons who lives in Chelmsford. Jamie and Tyler Barden, one of the church's ministers, rushed to Jack's apartment and began banging on the door looking for answers. Receiving no answer on the other side of the door, they had to leave, but called the police anyway. At the same time, in Verona, Ashley's friend noticed that her social media activities resumed and her account became active. Desperate and hoping to get some information from her friend, she sent a message to Ashley. To her surprise, the one who responded was none other than Jack, posing as her girlfriend. He made up a story about needing help passing a COVID test, which is why he sent those messages, but that was no longer relevant. Friends and family of Ashley's continued to constantly write to him, but Jack ignored their every most desperate plea. In the end, Jack connected with his sister Nadia, confessed in Ashley's honor, and even showed her. About 16 hours 13 minutes into the enclosure came representatives of the authorities. They reacted to Jamie's urgent message. They arrived on the scene in just 10 minutes, but this could no longer help Ashley. The employees immediately arrested the assayer Jack, who admitted to the crime. He also added that he suffers from severe psychosis. He was transported to Chelmsford Correctional Institution, and the trial was set for September 7, 2022, at Chelmsford Royal Court. Extensive toxicological investigations showed the presence of faint traces of prohibited substances and tranquilizers, and a thorough psychiatric examination recognized Jack mentally sound and capable of appearing in court. The evidence was incontrovertible, including documentary recordings of his voluntary confession of guilt. Faced with such unquestionable evidence, Jack immediately pleaded guilty, prompting the judge to impose the only sentence for such an outrageous crime: life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. During the trial held on September 7th under the direction of Judge Edward Murray, the prosecution in the person of prosecutor Simon Spence carefully examined Jack's extensive, deeply alarming criminal history as a teenager. It was then that Ashley's grief-stricken parents first discovered the truth about their daughter's cruel boyfriend. Since 2014, Jack had an extensive criminal history that included multiple arrests for stalking a girl, kidnapping, false imprisonment, and brutal physical assaults. In addition, over the years, he repeatedly received court restraining orders against his girlfriend and her mother. Ashley's grieving parents were horrified to discover the appalling record of the man who had taken their daughter's life. During the grueling trial, the prosecution and defense argued intensely over the sincerity of Jack's alleged messages of remorse to Ashley's family, which he wrote from prison. After careful consideration, Presiding Judge Edward Murray authorized the full publication of Jack's letter in the media, in accordance with the legal principles of judicial transparency and public knowledge. In the letter, addressed to Ashley's mother and sister, Hayley, Jack said that no expression of remorse or apology could ever repay Ashley or alleviate his deep grief over his shocking loss. Regretful of his actions. He claimed that they already knew about his long history of mental illness, as he had spoken openly about his problems in previous conversations with Ashley. He also said that in recent months his exhausting condition had rapidly worsened, and while that did not excuse his despicable actions, the obsessive thoughts had severely affected his judgment and decision-making ability. Nevertheless, given Jack's enormous history of past violent acts presented by the prosecution, as well as his admission of guilt in this horrendous crime, he was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after no less than 23 years.